Hey everyone, welcome to our third Thursday thrift flip. I'm Elizabeth, a Southern gmoregals. If you're new here, we want to welcome you to our channel, and we're spicing things up today. We're using some metallics and some neutrals in our thrift flips. So hang around and let's get started. For DIY number one, I only paid $1 for this little guy at my local thrift store. I thought he was really cute, and I really like the shape that he's in, and he's really thick and heavy. I guess this is kind of like a ceramic piece, and I think the little front cutout there, it's supposed to be like that, but I think the one in the back is probably cracked a little bit. But I felt like that was okay since it was in the back, and I really like the shape of this. So I'm going to clean him off a little bit, and then we're going to paint him. And here he is, and doesn't he look magnificent? I can't believe the transformation from just adding a little bit of paint. And we were kind of deciding which color to do, and I thought, well, he looks good white, but I really wanted something different. So we tried some of this metallic color, and this is a metallic copper. And I really like the way this turned out. When you put a candle in here, that copper just really glows. Now, I did take some antique copper and go around the inside of his mouth and his eyes and his nose, and it made it just slightly darker. You can't really tell the difference. And I went around the very top of it with that antique copper. But let's put a candle in him. This is inside our workbench in here, so that's why there's that wire running down the wall. But he looks really cute lit up, and the copper really shines for Halloween. And you could put him outside on a porch or on a table or something. So let's move on to DIY number two. Now this is another little cutie I found at the thrift store too, and he's only 50 cents. I did try to light him up. I did put some batteries in him, but he doesn't work. I like him orange. I think he's really cute orange, but we wanted to, kind of spice him up here and change him up a little bit. And this is the third Thursday thrift flip. Tammy from the Rusted Willow and myself, we're hosting this open collab with other YouTubers, so definitely check out Tammy's channel. She has a lot of budget-friendly DIYs, a lot of thrift flips. She also has her own booth that she'll show pictures of, and then she has some tablescapes that she does. So her information's down in my description box, along with the playlist of the other YouTubers participating in the collab. So check out and see what they found at the thrift store and how they made those over. And this here's the little stand that I'm going to put my pumpkin on. For some reason, I've got it upside down here. I didn't realize that when I was filming this clip. But this is what it looked like. I only paid $1 for it. And I'm going to use this metallic dark copper is the shade that I'm going to spray paint it. And here's my little cutie. I still think he's so cute, his little face. But I like the way that he looks in this metallic silver color. I did take a little bit of the wax and I went inside the rims there. Just a little bit right on the top. And then I had taken black paint and went around inside his face. And here's the stand after I spray painted it. And inside these little curvy pieces, I used that antique copper again. And I just hand painted just the inside of those curves just to give it a little bit more of an orange or a little bit brighter copper color around the inside of those. I really like the shade of this, and I've got it turned the right way now, so it's not upside down. But we're going to put our little pumpkin on here. And I wanted just to show you a little closer up. You can see where I painted the black inside there. And I just used a spray paint and kind of sprayed it in there and just kind of shook it around in there to let it spread inside his mouth. And here he is. He looks great. I like the silver shade up against the dark copper. I think they mix really well. Look great for Halloween. It's a little something different. It has that metal look if you like that kind of farmhouse look with the metals. So let's move on to DIY number three. Now, DIY number three, I found these at a thrift store, and I don't really know what they are. I was looking for some cross-stitching hoops, and I came across these, and they were $2.50 a piece. I didn't think that was a bad price, and they're just about the same size. The one is just slightly smaller, so I don't really know if it was supposed to go inside of it, if it was to make some kind of an arch when you're cross-stitching is what I'm guessing that it is, but I'm not really sure. But this is what we're going to use to make this DIY. These are wooden, so we're going to paint these, and I'm also using that little box there. It looks like a little drawer, and I purchased that from the Dollar Tree, I think at the beginning of the summer. So we're going to use these together. We're going to make a little lantern, and then we're going to use a mason jar to fill it up with some floral items. And all I'm going to do is just put these inside the drawer. And I just pushed them together. They just slid, one slid inside the other one. And, if you have them straight on like that, you can't really see the front of the jar. So when I put it in the drawer, I'm going to turn it kind of sideways here, or kind of like an X, so that way you can see inside the lantern. And I'm not going to glue this in here, that way I'll be able to take the jar in and out if I want to change the floral items. And the jar is really heavy to hold it in place. Stay tuned to the end if you want to see some things that really creep me out at the thrift store. We've got some really creepy pictures that we thought would be good for Halloween to post at the end here, so stick around if you want to see those. And I used the Waverly chalk paint. The plaster shade is what I painted the arches and the little box there with. And I was just trying to show you the jar sizes. There's a quart jar in the inside and then a pint jar sitting beside of it. And I was debating which one to use, and I'm going to use the quart jar, the larger size. So you could really use either one depending on how tall you want your pumpkins to stick out. And this is the jar. All I did was I used the plaster shade again of the Waverly chalk paint and painted my jar with just one coat. Then I'm using some of that antiquing wax just to really bring out those letters. It has ball on the top and then mason on the bottom. And then I went around the rim some just to kind of give it a little bit more of a rustic look, and so you can see the lettering on the jar. After I used the wax on the jar, I went on my arches here. And I did this slightly heavy, especially around the edges of these arches, just to, kind of tone down some of that white. So I went all over the arches, the inside, the outside, and then I went around the box too with the wax. And I'm just starting to build my floral pieces here on my jar. I took some of the raffia from the Dollar Tree. And I just took several strands. I think I had about 4 or 5 strands there. And I'm just tying a bow. So I just twisted, I wrapped it around the back of the jar. I have it tied together here. And then we're going to make a bow. And some of the raffia is going to be hanging off both sides here of the jar. And after I got my bow, I'm going to work on building my other floral items. For the pumpkins, these are just some foam pumpkins. I just used one of the little wooden stakes from the Dollar Tree, and I just pushed it up into the bottom of that one foam one. The white one and the green one on the bottom are the same size. The one on the top is just slightly smaller, and I just hot glued these together, and the one on the top, I kind of tilted it so it's not flat on top of the other one, just so you could see it a little bit better. And you might have to cut off the bottom of that stake or the little stick that they're on to get it to whatever height that you want. And this is some of the other floral items that I put in my jar. And I'm just using some things that I had from other projects. Usually if I use the flowers or something, I'll keep the leaves there. So that's just some of the darker leaves I had from the Dollar Tree, and I just hot glued some pine cones on there and a couple little acorns that we had from Hobby Lobby from last year. I have a couple pieces of corn husk in there. Then I also put a couple little pieces of the raffia in there, and there's 2 pieces of the dark wheat, and those came from the Dollar Tree. And I don't have it on this shot, but I'm putting some Spanish moss right there in the front. I had it sitting there and completely forgot to put it in there. But you'll see that once I get it inside the lantern that I did put some Spanish moss right there in the front. And then I filled around the bottom of that little box with some of the Spanish moss. And I just put another little group of the acorns down in there. I had a little pumpkin to put on the top of the lantern. But we kind of liked it better without anything on the top. I thought it looked great without anything. So you could add something there on the top. I think this really turned out beautiful. I love the way this looks. This is going to go on my mantle. It's a nice tall piece, really sturdy with that jar in the center. And, you could take it out and swap it out for whatever season decor that you want to put in there. And if you like more of the orange pumpkins, you could put orange pumpkins instead of those kind of farmhouse pumpkins, the white and the green. Now this is another quick DIY for number 4. This cost me $2 at the thrift store. I thought it was really pretty, but I thought we'd try to make it a little bit more modern looking. I think the colors look great, but we wanted to change it up a little bit with the colors. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to spray paint this a dark gray. I spray painted the outside a dark gray, and then the inside is going to be white. So you could do it either way. You could spray paint the inside white first, or paint the inside white and then do the outside gray, and it looks beautiful like this. I wanted to do a little bit something more because I thought, when it's lit up, the inside being white, you can really see it good. But I wanted the outside to be just a little bit more defined. So we're going to go around the outside of the leaves with some white. At first I tried the wax, and it really didn't make the leaves as dark as I wanted them, or you really couldn't see the outline as good. So I went back and used some of the plaster. This is the wax here that I'm doing on here, and it really didn't define them enough. So I didn't make them real solid looking, but I just kind of went through the center and around the edges with some of the plaster just to define that outline of the leaves. And then the whole cutout around the outside, I went around with a little bit of the white paint. And this looks magnificent with the light inside here, with a candle inside when it's lit up. That white inside really makes it shine. And here it is sitting outside in the daylight. I'm going to move it into a little work shed in there so you can kind of see what it looks like lit up. But you can see here that I didn't paint the leaves real solid, just really around the tips of them and right in the center part of the cutouts. And then right around the whole, piece there of where it's cut out, just to kind of trim it. So it will lighten it up a little bit, so it will glow a little bit more once you put a candle inside here. And I'm just using some little tea light candles. I do have some larger, like battery powered or flameless candles, but I think the little tea light looks good. And here it is, and that white inside really makes it pop. I really like the way this turned out when it's lit up. You could put something floral in something like this if you didn't want to use a candle inside here. And here's everything together. I hope we inspired you that you can add a little bit of metallics in with your traditional or your neutral colors and mix things up a little bit, give it a little bit of a change. If you have some old things around your home, some old decorations, you can definitely paint those and give them a new look, give them an updated look, and mix those. Don't be afraid to mix those colors together. Well, we want to thank everybody for watching. If you're already subscribed, I really appreciate you supporting our channel. I want to say thank you. And if you're new here, we'd love to have you subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm new to TikTok, so I'm trying to make some TikToks. I'm a little bit slow with figuring that one out. But if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see some sneak peeks of our videos that will be coming out. I want to say thanks to Tammy from the Rusted Willow and anyone that's participating in our playlist today. The playlist and Tammy's channel links are down in our description box. So head over and check out everyone's videos and then come back on the third Thursday of October and see what we flip next month. Now, I don't really understand in the thrift store, these are some things that flip me out, why they have portrait pictures of people who would want those of somebody else. But at my thrift store, you can see that they try to fix this one. This is something they've done to the picture, but it's really creepy. She has googly eyes. I don't know how well you can see that in the picture, but it feels like she's following you all over the store. But if you've ever... And this next one, the thought that this was this little boy from this movie immediately came to my mind when I saw this photo. But if you've ever seen Stephen King's The Pet Sematary, the original movie, they have a picture of this little boy. And I feel like he's following me around the store because there's 2 photos of him in here. And he's just sitting here. So this is the first one. Yep, that looks just like him. I don't remember that little kid's name in the movie, but that's him right there. And then as I move on around the store, there's another photo of him just sitting there when you turn your back. And here he is again. This looks like the little kid from the Pet Sematary when you come around the corner. And this is a huge picture of that one right there. And this one is a little photo. This looks like a really old picture, but I thought it was kind of creepy of these ladies all dressed up here. They also had some people dressed up like clowns, some really old ones, but I guess somebody bought those because they were gone. Next time I went back to the store. But creepy dolls. I don't like the dolls in the store. Here's one of them. And then here's a little, I thought this picture was really kind of weird looking. And then of course creepy clowns. I don't know who made that. I guess they did a good job making it, but I would not be purchasing that. And then some more little creepy doll parts. These are body parts from dolls. Well, thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a great